It's the same with your kids. Discipline and
When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. This powerful quote by Audre Lorde beautifully encapsulates the essence of today's program. A very good evening to one and all gathered here. I welcome you all to this special event where we come together to celebrate the release of Dook, an anthology of poems that dares to speak the truth. We are here to honor the courage it takes to use one's voice in the service of truth and justice, even in the face of fear. Through the poems in Dook, Dr. Prabhat Jha channels this strength, challenging the status quo and bringing to light the unspoken truths that resonate with us all. Before we begin with our program, I would like to invite our esteemed guests to join us on the dais. It is an honor to have such distinguished individuals with us, and we would like to extend a warm invitation for them to take their seats. I request Mr. Ashok Kumar Jha, Joint Registrar, Bihar Judicial Services, better known as Kathakar Ashok Ji, to grace the dais. Next, I would kindly request Dr. Muniba Sami, former Associate Professor, Department of English, Patna University, to grace the dais. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Shahla Rehana, Associate Professor, Patna Women's College, to kindly take her seat on the dais. Now I invite Dr. Richa, Assistant Professor, Patna College, to please join us. And finally, I request the visionary author of Dook, Dr. Prabhat Jha, to please join the invitation. I thank all the dignitaries for gracing this occasion with their presence. Now that we have the distinguished guests amidst us, let us move on with this event with a loud round of applause. Dook is not just a collection of poems. It is a call to action and accountability. Through this anthology, Dr. Prabhat Jha brings forth themes that challenge the status quo and confront the past that be. Each poem is a testament to the resilience of human spirit and the quest for truth and justice. The bold and unflinching themes of Bandhugram shine a light on the injustices perpetuated by those in power and present reality in the way it actually exists. The poems are a reminder that poetry is not just a form of art, but also a powerful tool for social change. To truly grasp the depth and uniqueness of Bandhugram, it is enlightening to consider the words of K. Sachidanandan, who is a celebrated Indian literary critic and poet. He observes that these are sharp political poems, darkly ironic, shrewdly observant, and socially relevant. They form a sordid commentary on what is happening in our country and elsewhere in the world. A whole downward metamorphosis of mankind into beasts and insects, prompted by a form of dehumanized, unethical, and anti-democratic politics. As we move forward in our program, it is now time to formally introduce the book that has brought us all together today. To do so, we have someone very special among us who is not only well versed in the essence of this anthology, but also shares a deep connection with its themes and the vision behind it. I kindly invite Dr. Richa, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to take the stage and introduce Bandhugram to all of us. Dr. Richa has been a guiding light in the literary world and a staunch advocate for the power of words to effect change. We couldn't think of a more fitting person to present this powerful work to us. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Richa.
Thank you, Swati. Good evening, everyone. This book has been very close to me, and I've been a part of this book since its, the entire journey I was there. I was. So, to introduce this book, this is a book which is dedicated to his mother. A collection of 38 poems. Bandhugram is a discomforting piece of work that constantly knocks at the consciousness and conscience of the readers. It checks, it verifies our perspectives on a number of issues that we unsee, unhear, and ignore. I would like to focus on a few necessary and striking thematic and stylistic aspects of this book. Number one is its casual tone. So very casually, the title of the book is Bandhugram. Is it about kingdom of Bandhu, or is it about band culture, or both? You may keep wondering, but would be intrigued nevertheless. While addressing intolerance to love, protest, new thoughts, and homosexuality, it very casually writes, ban love, ban dub, ban protest, handcuff, ban heads, ban hat, ban men, hand in hand. And thus, we are compelled to think deeper in the uneasiness of simple rhyme and rhythm in these lines. Another poem, Goddess's Nightmarish, asks that can we imagine a goddess, fat, thin, of all sizes, old, young, of all ages, breasts hanging out, shaggy buttocks, hair all messed up? So, to me, the casual tone is very striking. It drags us to our casual attitude to many things that require our collected and collective efforts. The second point is the range of issues that it covers. The book is an attempt to address the unaddressed, to empower the weak, and to document the undocumented. The issues range from mythological to personal to political, like suicide of the farmers, ban culture, market mantra, and to his own mother. Like Bolbevil, for instance, is dedicated to Sri Krishna Kalam, a farmer from Vidarbha who committed suicide. It writes that I cannot sense anything now, with a bloodless body, remembering my happy days. I unwillingly surrender myself as my death is inevitable. So it is not that he stops there. While addressing the global and the national issues, the book does not fail to highlight the mundane and the very local. So while being conscious of the farmers of Maharashtra, the book drags us to Patna with a question that are we looking at it enough? Are we forgetting or unseeing the things around us? It says that your city is a part of your body, nothing new or exciting about it. You don't glorify it or feel special to see it, but in the end, it's a part of you. You feel its importance when you lose it. And to his mother, he says that, "Mother, I am intrigued. I can still feel the umbilical cord and how to break away without rupturing the tissues of your uterus is a concern." There are many such poems which will want your attention. And in disagreement with the romantics, I would like to say that this anthology is a collection of vivid imagination and empathetic recollection of powerful feelings, not at all in tranquility. And the third point is the underlying request that it has. While writing on a number of issues, there is an underlying request to be more sensitive, more alert, and more human. Thus, the book confirms that the purpose of art is to make an intervention, an informed, sensible, and sensitive intervention to all sorts of injustices around us. And having said that, I would definitely mention that Banduk Dum is a must-read, even if it is not a comfortable one. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your precious insights regarding this evocative anthology. It is time for the much-awaited moment of this event, the official release of Banduk Dum. I would like to kindly request our esteemed guests of honor and Dr. Prabhat Jha, along with Dr. Richa, Dr. Shaila Rehana, Ms. Shilpa, Dr. Ramanand Jharaman, a well-known Mathuri writer, critic and editor, and Mr. Amitabh Ranjan, Faculty CMS Department, Patna Women's College, to come on the stage and do the honor of releasing the book.
Right here.
We are also joined by the chairperson of Chetna Samiti, Ms. Nisha Madan Jha, and secretary of Chetna Samiti, Mr. Umesh Mishra.
Second generation. This is a second.
Dr. Prabhat Jha has a remarkable ability to weave together powerful imagery and unfiltered language, creating a world of words that resonate deeply with the readers. His work challenges us to reflect on the state of our world and inspires us to take a stand against injustice. It is with great excitement that we turn our attention to the person whose words have brought us all together today. The heart and soul behind Dook, Dr. Prabhat Jha has poured his immense passion, insight and truth into this work. Sir is a translator and a writer. His poems have been published in Das Literarisch, Sunflower Collectives, News India and Odd Magazine, and a short story has been published in Anti-Series. He is also the co-editor of a poetry journal called Collage. Apart from writing poetry, he is also a playwright and an actor. He is one of the founders of a literary group called Graffiti and a part of a cultural group called Chorus, which is dedicated to gender issues. As a translator, his book Between the Two Dams has come out, where he has translated poems by Taranan Vyogi from Maithili to English. His translations have been published in Life and Legend, News India, etc. Presently, he teaches English literature at the Department of English, Patna Women's College. To share more about the journey, the inspiration and the message behind this powerful anthology, I request Dr. Prabhat Jha to take the stage.
Thank you everyone, and I've been joined by Arun Uncle, and he's been a part of, he's seen me from my childhood, my journey, and thank you to him as well. And Vijay Kannan Kaka is here, Javed Uncle is here. So I can see, my life as a writer, even if I'm writing an English book, won't be complete without people who are related to Maithili literature and language. So it will always be, even in my English, I could say there is some sense of Maithili which will always be there. So I'll start with writing about, and of course it is related to my identity, and my author's note is also related to my identity. On the cover page of the book, the proper name signifies the author's name. This name is not without an identity that comes with its history. I cannot detach myself from that identity and the history of cruelty behind it. If I have knowingly or unknowingly taken advantage of the privilege that comes automatically with my name and surname, I should own the historical cruelty to those in the marginal position, whether it is in the terms of religion, caste, or gender. But is my poetry guilt-ridden or apologetic due to my identity? Not consciously, as I never thought of myself to be a part of those groups who created this horrific environment. Unlike the author's note, most poems, except a few, are not about me. What affects you indirectly is also related to your life. If there is a sense of fear, you also feel the same. If things are not every day, it won't be normal for anyone, even if that person is at the top of the pyramid regarding identity. If there is a riot, my poems won't save me from being killed. At that time, I will be judged according to my identity. You feel that you are surrounded by human-shaped beasts who are ready to cut people to pieces and eat them. They can be one of your kin as well. Whenever there is anyone in power, whether they belong to one political ideology or the other, one gender or another, one religion or the other, one caste or the other, how they have treated the marginal. Do I want to be on the margins? I can be hypocritical and say yes, but no one wants to be. A friend of mine was fearful, wondering what would happen if the Dalits come to power. What if they mistreat the caste Hindus? This fear leads to irrational panic, leading to the belief that our identity is in danger, even if we are firmly in the power center. But is there any sense of genuine threat among those in power center? No. If you don't feel horrified enough by reading these poems, it is because of that fact only. These poems do not come from a threat of violence or oppression that I was even subjected to, but from the horror of seeing others going through it. The poems written primarily in the last 14 years, have been written with desperation and panic about what I felt was wrong in the country and the world. Why do they bother a writer who is not harmed directly by the incidents? It is because one wants to project one's angst on the world. Look, things are going wrong. Please think and do something. At least you feel lighter yourself in the hope that things will be better. Although the poems may appear to come from a place of disillusionment, it is hope that has led me to share this with you. A manifestation of a better world, shouting out and mixing my voice in the air. Let hope be combined with the oxygen inhaled by the people so they live with empathy. That is what I want, just a livable world. I have never worked hard enough on the form of poetry. It is not the fact that I do not desire to learn about form and aesthetics, but I have just been too lazy to learn. Hopefully the form and the content will improve in the next one. I thank Vanima ma'am, Vichadi, Atul, Amritendu Ghoshal, who is not able to come, for going through the multiple drafts and helping me make them publishable. I would also like to thank Laurie, she is one of my students, who helped me immensely in the preparation of the manuscript. Bani sir, Bani Bharat Mahanta is a professor at BHU. He has gone through a lot of drafts and also written a blurb in this book. To Tabish Kher, who has been he's a writer, well-known writer in English literature, and he's been a kind of a friend, and he's written a blurb as well. He's quite a well-known writer. Then K. Sachidanandan, who was a director of Sahitya Academy, and I was quite surprised to see when he responded with a blurb, because I've never met him. No? I just sent him an email with the manuscript, and then suddenly one day I saw that he had written a blurb for me. My father, Kathakara Ashok, a well-known Maithili writer, has always supported me in whatever I wanted to do in my life. Shilpa, the love of my life, my wife is there, keeps encouraging me to work and supporting me throughout the process. To Sudarshan Cherry and Authors Press, who is the publisher of this book, thank you for agreeing to publish this collection. And in the end, to my late mother for inculcating empathy in me, without which no poetry is possible. So, thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir, for inspiring us with your ideas. We believe that your words really have the power to make the readers contemplate and question about the things that often go unnoticed in this period of time. So at this juncture, we are fortunate to have with us a panel of distinguished guests, each of whom brings a unique perspective on the ideas explored in Bandhudam. We are eager to hear their thoughts and reflections on this remarkable work. So firstly, I would like to kindly invite Mr. Ashok Kumar Jha to share his reflections on Bandhudam. Kathakar Ashok Ji is a well-known Maithili writer who has written multiple collections of short stories, such as Only Writer Board, Matbar and Dadigam. He is also known for his collections of critical essays, Maithil Ank and Baat Vichar, as well as a travelogue on his visit to USSR named Aink Mein Basar. In his works, we find a criticism of hegemonic practices dealing with caste and gender, which comes from his experiences witnessing such incidents from close counters throughout his life. His use of magic realism enhances the impact of his works on the readers long after they have read the work. He retired as Joint Registrar, Bihar Judicial Services, and he is also the father of our author, Dr. Prabhat Jha. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ashok Kumar Jha.
मंच पर विराजमान डॉक्टर मणिमा स्वामी जी, सहयोगी जी, ऋचा दीदी एंड और मेरे समक्ष उपस्थित चेतना समिति की अध्यक्ष निशा मदन झा जी, सचिव उमेश मिश्र जी, साहित्यकार और मैथिली के प्रसिद्ध आलोचक रमानंद झायमन जी, चेतना समिति के पूर्व अध्यक्ष विवेकानंद झा जी, उपाध्यक्ष अरुण कुमार झा जी, मंजू झा जी और विभिन्न हमारे मित्र कलीग जावेद आलम जी, अमिताभ जी, किशोर केशव जी, अरविंद कुमार अक्सू जी। आज मेरे लिए बहुत प्रसन्नता की बात है कि प्रभात का ये कविता संग्रह जिसको कहते हैं कि पोएट्री कलेक्शन का लोकार्पण हुआ है। मुझे याद है कि जब 1986 में मेरा जो कविता संग्रह चक्रव्यूह प्रकाशित हुआ था, तो उसके लोकार्पण में मेरे पिताजी उपस्थित थे। तो ये एक अच्छी बात है कि इस लोकार्पण में मैं उपस्थित हूँ। और 48 वर्ष के बाद 86 में मेरे कविता संग्रह का मेरी पहली किताब थी। कविता मैंने लिखी, शुरुआत की कविता से, बाद में कहानियाँ लिखी मैंने। तो वो कविता संग्रह का प्रकाशन हुआ था। 86 से अभी 48 वर्ष 38 वर्ष लगे। 46 से जो है हमें 86, हाँ एक ही है, उधर 14 24 जो है, तो करीब 30 वर्ष के बाद जो है ये अवसर आया। कविताएं बहुत बदल गई हैं पूरे भारतीय, चाहे किसी भी भाषा में हो, पहले जैसी कविताएं और लिखे जाते थे। मुझे याद है कि जब मैंने कविता लिखनी शुरू की थी, वो समझिए कि 68-69 से 68 में मेरी पहली कविता छप चुकी थी, बच्चे की पत्रिका में मैथिली में। उस समय 15 साल का था, 14-15 साल। तो जो कविताएं लिखने लगा तो मेरी माँ ने सुना, लगता है किसी से, मैंने तो नहीं कहा कि मैं कविता लिखता हूँ, तो उन्होंने सुना, तो उन्होंने सुना होगा कि कविता लिखने लगा है। तो उन्होंने कहा कि एक दिन बुलाया कि कहा कि मैथिली में कहा, मैं ऐसे कहता हूँ कि समझा जाता है। उन्होंने कहा कि अशोक सुनै छी अहूँ कविता लिखे छी। लिखे छी तो कविता नहीं लिखू, बाबा जे छे से बाबाजी भऽ गेला। इसका अर्थ यही 2 लाइन का, इसका अर्थ उनको समझाना पड़ेगा। इसलिए कि उनके जो ग्रैंडफादर थे मेरी माँ के, वो भी मैथिली के बहुत बड़े कवि तेजनाथ झा थे। और 1934 में ही उनका भूकंप से उनका डेथ हो गया। तो उनकी पूरी रचनावली आई है, उसमें डॉक्टर रमानंद झा ने के संपादन में उनकी तेजनाथ रचनावली आई है। तो वो कविता लिखते लिखते वो साधु हो गए। अब घर में रहते हुए भी एकदम परिवार से अलग रहने लगे, जो हिसाब है। तो मोटे तौर पर उसमें क्या संबंध था कविता लिखने से, लेकिन मेरी माँ के दिमाग में आया कि कविता लिखना जो है उससे ये होता है कि परिवार को छोड़ देता है, परिवार के प्रति थोड़ा लापरवाह हो जाता है। और ये जो है गृहस्थ जीवन जो है उसके प्रति थोड़ी उसके अंदर में एक लगाव जैसा नहीं रहता है, वो अलगाव मैंने हो जाता है। तो मैंने उनको समझाया कि नहीं, ऐसी बात नहीं है, मतलब कुछ न कुछ की परिवार का उनको जो समझाना था मैंने उनको समझाया। तो खैर, तो अब ये ऐसा है कि कविता लिखते हुए भी अच्छा गृहस्थ भी हुआ जा सकता है, मतलब ऐसा भी नहीं है कि अब ये कविता लिखने में कवियों का जो चित्र रहा है हमारे समाज में, सो झोला लटकाए, दाढ़ी बढ़ाए, कुछ ऐसा ही अलबटा, मतलब उसको पूरा समाज मान्यता नहीं, मतलब समझिए कि कविता लिखने लगे मतलब खत्म, बुढ़िया गए। मतलब उस हिसाब से अभी कहीं कुछ काम के आदमी नहीं रहे। तो लेकिन बहुत बदल गया वो हिसाब से। तो हम समझते हैं कि प्रभात बहुत अच्छा गृहस्थ है, अच्छा गृहस्थ है, कोई संदेश भाव अभी तक नहीं आया है इसके अंदर में। तो उस हिसाब से जो है हमारी भी देखभाल करता है और सबकी देखभाल करता है। तो अब सवाल है कि प्रभात की क्या कविता संग्रह है, इसके बहुत कविताओं पर हम नहीं कह सकते हैं, लेकिन एक बात जरूर है कि अभी जो दुनिया में, इस देश में या दुनिया में सत्ता जो है, जिसको कहते हैं राजनीतिक सत्ता जो है, जिस रूप में क्रूर और हिंसक हो गई है। आप देख रहे हैं कि विभिन्न कारणों से विश्व में लड़ाइयां चल रही हैं। कभी भी लगता है कि ये सभी कैसे तीसरा युद्ध शुरू हो जाएगा कि क्या हो जाएगा। कितने लोग, मानवता का जो है, कितने लोग, बच्चे, स्त्रियां खास करके बढ़ रही हैं। एक आतंक जैसा जो है, पहले भी राजा महाराजा और सामंत के समय में आतंक होता था। पूरे विश्व में हम लोगों ने कितनी क्रांतियां हुई, और पृथ्वी क्रांतियों के बाद हम लोगों ने सबसे अच्छा शासन व्यवस्था, लोकतंत्र, डेमोक्रेसी को चुना लोगों ने। लेकिन इस डेमोक्रेसी में भी क्या सब किया जा सकता है, ये हम सब लोग जानते हैं। और तब ये कविता जो है, शुरू से कहते हैं कि जितने भी हमारे चिंतक और संवेदनशील कवि हुए हैं बड़े बड़े, उनको कहा जाता है कि वो पीड़ित के पक्ष में, शोषित के पक्ष में, सर्वोपरि रूप से जनता के पक्ष में उन्हें लिखना चाहिए। और प्रतिरोध जो है, हिंसा जो है, जितनी भी अमानवीय कृत्य हैं, उसके विरुद्ध बोलना चाहिए, कविता लिखनी चाहिए। अब कैसा कविता कैसे लिखी जाए, उसमें व्यंग हो, क्या हो, उसके तरीके क्या हो, लिखने के ढंग क्या हो, ये तो अलग अलग है जो हिसाब है। लेकिन मूल रूप से प्रारंभ से भी एक बात है कि संस्कृत में भी सबसे अच्छा करुणा जो है, तो करुणा को भी रस के रूप में भी करुणा को सबसे अच्छा माना जाता है। और हम समझते हैं कि करुणा का जितना अभाव अभी होता जा रहा है लोगों के प्रति, हम एक दूसरे से विभिन्न कारणों से उनसे संपृक्त नहीं हो पाते हैं। जो एक मनुष्य का दूसरे मनुष्य के साथ जो मिलना है, उसमें हमको रंग, जात, धर्म, संप्रदाय, राष्ट्र, ये जितनी चीज है, ये सब एक दूरियां बढ़ाने वाली चीज है। हम अपने राष्ट्र पर गौरव कर सकते हैं, लेकिन दूसरे राष्ट्र के प्रति घृणा रखने का तो कोई मतलब नहीं। हम अपने जाति पर गौरव कर सकते हैं, लेकिन दूसरी जाति के प्रति घृणा करने का तो कोई मतलब नहीं। धर्म के प्रति घृणा करने का तो कोई मतलब नहीं। तो ये हमारी परंपरा भी यहाँ रही है। ऐसी बात नहीं है कि ये घृणा की कोई परंपरा यहाँ रही हो शुरू से भारत में, ऐसी बात तो नहीं रही। उसके बाद से कोण में खाज ये है, इसके साथ दूसरा एस्पेक्ट, ये मैं इसकी कविताओं को पढ़ते ही बोल रहा हूँ। अलग अलग मैं कविता को नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, लेकिन मतलब कविता को पढ़ते हुए जो मैंने जो समझा है, जो हिसाब किताब है, जो बात मैं रख रहा हूँ, अलग अलग मैं उसकी कोई कुछ कविताओं की। दूसरा ये है कि ये जो अभी बाजारवाद का जो समय है, भूमंडलीकरण का समय है, और बड़े बड़े विकास जिस पर हम गौरव करते हैं, बड़ी बड़ी अट्टालिकाएं, बड़े बड़े माल, बड़े ये फ्लाईओवर्स, ये जो बन रहे हैं, वो कितने अमानुषिक। अब हम उस पर देखते हैं कि इतना सुंदर, आनंद करते हैं, यहाँ से चले जाते हैं, तड़ाक से पहुंच कर लेकिन उसको मनुष्यों के पक्ष में यदि रख के सोचा जाए तो आपको लगेगा कि सब बहुत मनुष्यों के हित में, पक्ष में नहीं। आप किसी मॉल में जाएं तो आप ये अनुभव कर सकते हैं कि तमाम चकाचौंध के बीच में जैसे हम किसी अंधेरे में आ गए। तो सर्वोपरि रूप से हमें ये जो संवेदना है उसको करुण भाव से, करुणा के भाव से पीड़ित और पीड़ित लोगों के प्रति, खास करके जो दबे कुचले हैं, स्त्रियां हैं, दलित हैं, जो छूट गए हैं समाज में, पीछे छूट गए हैं किसी कारण से, आर्थिक हो, सामाजिक हो, उनके प्रति यदि हम संवेदनशील नहीं हैं और अपनी बात कविता के माध्यम से और कहानी के माध्यम से, चाहे उपन्यास के माध्यम से, जो भी मेरे पास है, चाहे जो भी लेख के माध्यम से हम नहीं अब व्यक्त कर सकते हैं रचनात्मक शब्दों में। मैं कह रहा हूँ स्टेट नहीं, उसका रचना का जो एक हिसाब होता है, कविताएं जो होती है इस रूप में नहीं ये व्यक्त करते हैं। तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि आज हम कोई प्रासंगिक लेखन कर रहे हैं। कोई प्रासंगिक लेखन तो बहुत से लोग कर रहे हैं, कुछ भी लिखा जा सकता है, आपको आनंदित किया जा सकता है, आप झूम सकते हैं कविताओं पर, लेकिन वो बहुत स्थायी चीज नहीं है। और मेरी आशा है कि जिस तरह से इन्होंने लिखना शुरू किया है, प्रभात वो लिखते रहे, बहुत देरी करते हैं। एक बात जरूर है कि कविता संग्रह निकालने में ये परेशान, मतलब हम लोगों को ऋचा को ज्यादा परेशान ऋचा को आगे कहते थे अंकल बोलिए इनको कि जल्दी से छपाएं, जल्दी से छपाएं। तो मतलब ये है कि आखिरकार थोड़ा मतलब ये है कि थोड़ा परफेक्शन का है हिसाब, सबसे लेकर के बढ़िया ये होना चाहिए। तो एक बात कही, ये बात जरूर है कि बहुत कविताओं को आप देखते हुए आप जिसको चाहते हैं कि आनंद तो एक अलग चीज है, लेकिन कि बेचैन भी आप हो सकते हैं, क्योंकि आपके अंदर एक बेचैनी भर सकती है कि ये स्थितियां ऐसी हैं। तो ये भी एक बात है। तो आप सभी लोगों की शुभकामना मिले ने इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ।
आपके बहुमूल्य विचार और अनुभव हमारे साथ बांटने के लिए हम आपके बहुत आभारी हैं कथाकार अशोक जी। Now I request Dr. Muniba Sami to join us on the stage and share her valuable ideas. Dr. Muniba Sami is a former associate professor, Department of English, Patna University, former coordinator IQAC St. Xavier's College, Patna, and a guest faculty at the Department of English, Patna Women's College. She has a teaching experience of 48 years and she stands as a distinguished supervisor of 7 PhD scholars as well. She has been a resource person in numerous workshops, such as Child Protection Workshop at NDCC. So I kindly request Dr. Muniba Sami to grace us at the stage. Please welcome ma'am.
I'm short. I really need a little bit of a lifting. But anyway, good evening, everyone here in this hall, people sitting on the dais, important people, but no less important are the people in the audience. Each one of you is special because you have come to attend the inauguration of a potentially great poet, as I see him. Victor has given us a very comprehensive and neat introduction to the poems, a collection of poems that Prabhat has written. And I would like to congratulate him on this occasion for having got his work published. So please give him a hand. Since Richa has done such a comprehensive job of talking about Prabhat's creations and works, I will speak to you about Prabhat as a teacher, because I have been his former teacher and then later on friend and colleague. We are good friends now. I have, sorry?
Still a teacher.
No, not a teacher anymore. I'm retired now.
teacher's teacher.
No, far from it. I would like to share my first impressions of Prabhat as a teacher. I've known him for now 16 years. And when he entered Darbhanga House to do his program in MA, I didn't know him at all. He was just one of the students. And I didn't pay particular attention to him. He was like any other student. But every now and then, with the passage of time, he would make certain comments, or I would read his answers, or in the class, the kind of questions he would put made me notice him, because he was someone who thought differently. I realized as time went by that this boy is a thinking boy. This boy is able to analyze. He has a sharp mind, a keen mind, observant, sensitive. And so I began to notice him. And I found that he was very hardworking, read a lot, but he was uncomfortable in English. And when he wrote these poems in English, I want to stress the fact that for a person whose language is not English, a person for whom the English language is foreign, so to speak, although we do have Indian English now, Indian English is recognized, Prabhat has come a long way. And I feel very happy, proud and privileged to be sharing these days with him. And I wondered how he has been able to overcome all the obstacles that he had to face. To give my own example, I came from the kind of education, I had the kind of education which you may call a privileged education in English medium. And given my age, I'm not going to disclose it, given my age, I belong to a much previous generation, an age which was closer to the British times, but post-independence. So you can calculate my age, rough calculation. So as a result, in the English medium schools and also in women's college, where I did honors in English, we were trained to think that given Macaulay's minutes of his model of education, we were schooled in the English culture and the English traditions and so on, so that it became second nature to us. Right from childhood, I was fed on, Enid Blyton, for example, the books of Enid Blyton, the books of Richard Crompton, and then gradually I graduated to Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters and Robert Louis Stevenson, Charles Dickens and so on, as I grew older. And as a result, my whole psyche, my whole being was being formed by these inputs. So while I was still a child, I think it must have been around 10, I must have been about 10, 11 years of age, inspired by the stories of Enid Blyton, I started to write little stories for myself. And I would show these stories to my Nana. My Nana read these stories and he said, "Why do your characters have English names? Why do your characters have English teeth?" So I didn't realize it at that time, but what I was doing was mimicking the English culture. I hadn't realized it then. And so I couldn't understand my grandfather's objections, but gradually he told me, "Write about your experiences, your friends, your school, and what you experience." Finally, when I became a teacher later on in women's college, and then much later, in my late 50s, I discovered critical theory, critical thinking, literary theory, and it turned my entire vision of English literature on its head. And because I was programmed to think in a particular way, I had to unlearn, which was a very difficult task for me, unlearn what I had learned. That way, Prabhat and Richard did not carry this baggage with them, this literary baggage. And so, both these poets, of course, today is Prabhat's day, so I'm not going to mention Richard anymore. But that is
working together, so it's not a...
So I find, the kind of poetry that Prabhat has been writing is so refreshing, like a breath of fresh air, untrammeled by the weight of the inherited British tradition. His writing is fresh, it shows his courage, he's fearless, and his style of writing is startling. But before I go on to the style of writing, I would just like to mention the variety. This collection of poems shows a variety of themes. It's amazing, the variety of themes. Each poem is different, picks up a different theme. And in some themes like dealing with contemporary societal problems, it deals with protests, forces of conflict, areas of conflict, power games, violence, ideologies, democracy, the idea of democracy, struggles of all kinds. It's also accompanied by a sense of anxiety, anguish. But on the other hand, he has poems of harmony. He deals with political spaces and also the problems of economics, class struggles, class differences. He also touches upon nature, images of nature, and the impact, even the impact of disease such as COVID. So you see the variety there. So these are the things that he touches upon in the 38 poems that I have read. With regard to his style, what I loved about his writing is his play with words and the language game that he plays in these poems. I think you're brilliant, Prabhat. Whether it be the choice of words or the images. Like, for example, in the very first poem, Bandit Dum. And I don't know how many of you have already read this poem, but look at the sound of the words. I won't give you the summary of the poem, but it's basically to do with censorship. And finally, when he says, ban trials, ban trees, ban farmers you can't seize, ban those eyes, ban that head, which looks at you and is not dead. And then, this is what I was referring to, ban diggity, dookity, diggity, poop, press ban, 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 on loop, loop, loop. You see the repetition, effective use of repetition. My issues are shitty, your doctrine is a scoop, the cock is caught in your jingoistic food. So I love the play with words, and it's so very effective. And you can make out that while this theme is very serious, he's having great fun. So his sense of humor, his satire is all evident in his works. So I find his words, in a fun sort of a way, are hard-hitting. They are hard-hitting and also heart-hitting, because I found my heart pounding as I read his poems. He is unapologetic, frank, fearless, and sometimes deliberately non-lyrical or unlyrical, and his words come out like a dramatic march, especially the second, not only the second poem, that is Heil Führer, but you see the march of the words, which seems to echo the drum beats. Then his use of irony, which I find right through his poems. The satire right through irony, but the irony is not scathing, it's not harsh. Sometimes very tongue-in-cheek, subtle, and sometimes not always so subtle. His originality is something striking, his originality and imagination. I have taken some examples of his poems like this, the poem of animal imagery in Animal Humans. If you read it, you will know what I mean. And apart from that, there's also the element of pathos. So there's a variety of feelings as well. The element of pathos, like in the poem Margin Blues. And my favorite is his poem Mother. There are many other poems too which show this sensitivity of feeling. And these poems pull at your heartstrings. Another poem which struck me as being significant is what Richa pointed out, boll weevil. Boll weevil is a kind of insect which feeds on cotton. And this poem is dedicated to a farmer poet from Maharashtra who used to work on a cotton farm, Krishna Kalam. Then again, the images that Prabhat makes use of have such a sharp contrast that they seem to be roped together just as the metaphysical poets would do in their writings. There are many examples like that, but one example I can give is the poem which is entitled Metamorphosis. Then you have the contrasting perspectives where Prabhat combines the traditional with the modern, or I would say, put it this way, he revisits the traditional, and most of the times he subverts it. There are poems like where he deals with what he is labeled as, what his entitled is, what these stuffs are all about. So he takes up these classical epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So in another poem, Vision in the Daylight, you see again very sharp disparate images yoked together, presenting a world, a topsy-turvy world. He also touches upon the pain of children or children victims who have suffered in the conflict zone, as in the poem Hanging in Mid-Air. But having said all this, there is also light-hearted fun in the poem, like showing humor, like the poem With Her in a Jar. And I will end my talk reciting this poem with the author's permission. With Her, the poem is entitled With Her in a Jar. When she walks through the hot daylight, she seems to me like a pickle in a jar, marinated and flavored in the heat. We can feel it. Her effervescence is like a fresh lime cut into pieces. Her lips, when they move, seem as if red chili flakes are flying in the air. When I touch her, I can feel the tanginess of mustard oil in my hand. She is white, like a radish. Oh, the time I open my eyes, I'm inside the same jar as her. That citrus, the spice, and the tanginess are transferred into my veins to flow through the blood into my heart. Being pickled with her, I feel like a pickle myself, and that's simply lovely. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Amit. That is what I said. I can't just forget the Maithili inside me, even when I'm writing a love poem. So the mustards, no? Mustard seed and mustard oil.
Should I also put a fish there?
Yes, there is also fish.
Lovely defined.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your opinions on the book. Moving on, as we celebrate the launch of Dook, let us remember the power of words to bring about a change. Let us be inspired by the courage of these poems and the truths they reveal. And let us carry forward the message of this anthology, advocating for a world where justice and equality prevail. To have a taste of the unapologetic and fearless poems of this anthology, let us hear some of the unyielding poems from this collection. I humbly invite Dr. Shehla Rehana, Associate Professor, Department of English, Patna Women's College, to recite the poems Bees Inside the Beehive and Atomic Hate, and also share her valuable thoughts on the collection.
Good evening, everyone. I thank Prabhat Jha for having written this book finally, because he sits next to me and I have a whole lot of exchanges with him and I can see the poems in the making. So finally it has come out. So I congratulate him. And I must tell you that the first time I actually did not meet Prabhat, but I had gone for a program that Graffiti had organized. And for the first time, Prabhat caught my attention because he was, I think with Richa, he was presenting that entire program, and with such ease he would switch from Mathli to Hindi to English, and with words put in from Bangla, from Urdu. So he has a way with words, and I experience the play of words every day. He sits next to me. So any word that comes up, I mean, he starts playing on that. He takes it up, rolls it in his mouth, outside his mouth. And this title of the book also reflects how Prabhat enjoys playing with words, and he twists, turns, sounds, rhythms, and the same tone is spread all across the anthology. And as we read the anthology, we find that for him personal is political. So his concerns include local, global, local to extends to global. So he is such a sensitive person that he is involved with all the issues, not only on the local level, because I find that there are many people who are only bothered about local issues, but he keeps himself abreast with the news outside the world, with the power politics that goes on across the world. So he is always alert to the changes that are taking place outside India and all across the world. All that is reflected in his collections. So, I mean, through his book, he represents many citizens who are marginalized, who are othered, who are cornered. And thank you for being the voice of many. Prabhat, I thank you again for being the voice of many who don't have a voice. Maybe they have a voice, but they don't have a voice sometimes. So, I wish you all the best for your future endeavors also, and hope you keep on playing with the words, sounds and rhythms. And as ma'am said, I had written, it's like, you know, the first thing that came to my mind when he gave me the book was that it's all tongue-in-cheek. So he always has that tongue in his cheek when he is writing many things, you know, and how he makes mundane things interesting. So it is a very, very interesting experience, very refreshing, and I have selected this poem, Bee Inside the Beehives. Memories. How convenient is it for you to erase everything? Genocides, gas chambers, rotten, burned bodies, everything disappears in the collective atmosphere. Religion, how important is it for you? Gods, goddesses, Mother India, holy rivers, temples, idols, cutouts, everything in front of you, on a platform, not to be forgotten. Opinions, how irritating are they for you? Left, secular, independent, thought, reason, empathy, useless. The idol has to be worshipped. History, how do you see it? My history truth, your history agenda. How dare you negate us? Nation, who shall be there? You, not they. They are Jews. Send them to gulags, burn them at stake. Future, what do you want to see? You to get jobs, promotions, to be filthy rich? Eliminate them all and make it easier. You will support him because he'll do that. Useless. What things? Love, empathy, courage, society, people. Bullshit, all bullshit. We are the bees inside the beehives. We only care for the nectar. Another that I have selected, I wanted to read a few more, but Prabhat asked me to select two. I was forced to choose. So it's Atomic Hate 67, page 66. atomic hate. These days, you do not need atomic bombs to destroy everything. In this quantum world, each atom in your body is charged with hatred, ready to collide with other atoms of the world for the catastrophic fission to happen. In this world, atoms in your body are already charged with false pride, country, religion, caste, gender, ready to blast at any moment. Collision is an everyday affair. Collision fills you with energy to forget about the abysmal normal. Collision gives you meaning in absurdity. You are no longer an atom lost in the universe vastness, but become essential. Your life needs collision for you to feel alive. You feel you help your God with collision. Transfer energy without losing anything. But in the end, you are just a worthless atom. Your physical body remains and your soul perishes as you sacrifice yourself for the destruction of the world. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Shahla ma'am. Now, with your kind permission, I would also like to take a moment to share a poem from this remarkable anthology. It's a piece that resonated with me deeply, and I hope that it will speak to you as well. The poem is entitled, Frailty, Thy Name is Hamlet. Reshuffling my thoughts after that news last night, I went into a period of internal muttering. Brainwashed and fragile as I am, looking at things, think and think and think, only thinking, and some more thinking, and then thinking how to think more. What is to be done? What can I do? The issues are priceless, the dangers are faceless. Corruption, Iram Sharmila, against violence, for peace, migration, suffocation, genocide, pesticides, some fast, some candle marches, some known causes, some causes unknown. I decided finally to act. I decided to act finally and did what I could do. Nothing less or more in the end, but to share the link to that cause on Facebook. Oh dear, I can only contemplate. Frailty, thy name is Hamlet. Thank you. I chose to recite this poem because I found that this is very much relevant to our society in the present times. If you notice that many of us are faced with this struggle between awareness and action. When we are aware about the social issues that we have, but we are unable to do anything, contribute to the solution in any manner. And Prabhat Jha beautifully presents that metaphorical paralysis by thinking. The process of contemplation is never ending. It goes on. We think and only think without having any conclusion or any solution. And he also gives a very satirical conclusion to it, that is to share the link to that cause on Facebook, which I found depicts the superficial ways in which we try to deal with serious social problems. It will not, maybe it will have a conclusion or a solution, but maybe it won't. But that is the only option we as common members of the society have. So thank you. Moving on, let us hear some more poems from this collection and the thoughts of the readers as well. I invite Mr. Frank Krishner, faculty at the Department of CMS, Patna Women's College, to recite praise and share his much valued thoughts. Please welcome, sir.
Prabhat, we've known each other for quite some time. From those days in small rooms where we would confer and speak and share stuff. Poetry to me is intensely personal. so I will not be doing Sandhi Vishet or Vyakhyan. I will just read something which touched me when I went through your village. And that's it. Praise. She was eating fruit. He was blue-blooded and sad. She gave away her hunger. As she was feeling bad, he was hungry. He ate all of that. They say the man was raped to satisfy his hunger by eating her fruit. A low-born old woman. She was hungry. Parting food was no fun. Though she sacrificed her food, he will be praised for doing no good. As hunger, your blood is not blue. It is he who is praised between you two. Thank you.
I just want to say a few words about France, sir. And we started graffiti when I just completed my PG. So, sir was someone who was working at that time, I think he was working in Women's College. Later on he joined St. Xavier's, and we used to do quite a few programs together, you know? And at his place, at different places, and so much talk about poetry, and Munima ma'am, sir, all have contributed to whatever has been printed in this page.
Thank you, Frank sir. Thank you, Prabhat sir. Next, I invite Dr. Devina Krishna, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Patna Women's College, to recite the poems Rain and Silence. Please welcome ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate Prabhat for coming up with such a wonderful collection. Thank you, Prabhat, so much for having me here. You have been a great colleague, and I just couldn't say no to you. So I went through the collection. It's a wonderful collection. I'm a linguist, and generally I surround myself with the world of linguistics. So today it's a great moment to stand here with all the experts and just talk about few of my. I would just like to give some of my views also. So the first poem that I'm going to read is Rain. That's on page 62, and it really touched me. Like a nurse's cool hands, rain comes and the earth ready to deliver becomes cooler. Gentle breeze like the fan in the midwife's hand, and the earth feels relieved. The pain lessens, seed planted, earth elated, ready for the child to bear the pain. Rain comes, a new plant is born, crying for help. The umbilical cord is still attached to the belly, not to be uprooted, as rain takes care to nurture, to grow. It's a beautiful poem, an imaginative depiction of the life-giving process of rain nourishing Mother Earth, similarly like a midwife assisting in childbirth. The rain is a sign of relief, cooling the parts of the earth and assisting it in delivering new life. The poem reflects upon the journey from planting to growth, laying stress on the nurturing role of rain in sustaining the young plant. There is this interconnectedness of nature and cycles of life, the life-giving qualities of rain and water, the depiction of earth as a mother figure, sustaining a new life. All these aspects have been beautifully explored in the poem. There's a rich usage of vivid imagery and metaphors to create a rich narrative. So this really struck me, and now I move on to the next poem. I think Prabhat also suggested me, and I want to thank him. This is a beautiful poem, Silence, on page 72, and it really touched me a lot. So here it is. Try to decipher those silences, little moments of the leaves. Keep your eyes and ears open. Watch, listen, do not shout. Speaking is not necessary all the time. Sometimes we need silence. To hear silences, the moments of the leaves. Do not write all the time. Keep your pens aside. Writing is not necessary all the time. Sometimes we need to read. Decipher those silences from the woods, from the valleys, the mountains. So, this is an introspective and contemplative piece which suggests that silence and quiet contemplation can reveal hidden truths and allow us to connect with nature and ourselves on a deeper level. The poem throws light on the importance of mindfulness, silence and introspection in a world that often values constant noise and action. It has been rightly said that in a world bursting with noise and distraction, we often forget the power of silence. The poem celebrates the beauty of calmness or stillness, the power of observation, and the need to balance our actions with contemplation. We need to listen and read the world around us, rather than constantly trying to deal with our own narratives. So I really appreciate this piece that values silence and quiet reflection in a world which is packed and so noisy. So I want to congratulate Prabhat once again because you have given a great gift to humanity. And thank you so much for having me here. All the best.
Thank you, Devina ma'am. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Deepika Tiwari, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Pekka Women's College, who will be reciting the poem Hanging in Midair. Please welcome ma'am.
Thank you, Swati, and thank you, Prabhat Jha, and congratulations to you for this big day. So, talking about Prabhat Jha, well, I know him for more than a decade now, but then we are working as colleagues for around 2 years. So, in these 2 years, I got to know him better as a human being. So, for our convenience, we call him as PJ, the initials of Prabhat Jha, but then he lives up to his name because he is excellent at cracking poor jokes. But then he makes us laugh on his jokes. That keeps the environment of our atmosphere of our department very lively. And yes, perfect jokes. Okay, that's a better option, I think.
Give us a poor one also.
No, yes, I think most of the times he gives us poor jokes.
No, perfect jokes.
But then, yes, he makes us laugh. And so that's why I perceive him as a very deceptive person, because what he looks as a very funny guy, but then in reality he's a very serious, sensible, very sensitive, very creative, very empathetic, and many more adjectives that I can add to his personality. So I feel it as my privilege to read one of his poems, again a very serious poem. Risha ma'am always says that Prabhat Jha, the way he writes, is like always ready to go to jail. So I think I am ready to go along with him. So
Okay, we'll put a law in the department of English.
yes. So today the poem that I have selected to read is Hanging in Mid-Air. Sliding vertically on the slope joining the Twin Towers, and a missile struck a hut in Iraq. I find a child hanging in between. The child is black and white, wearing an Armani suit above, nothing below, with American dreams in his eyes and a Somalian body. Why is the child hanging? I can hear something, a dual voice, suffering for my sins, suffering for my sins. What suffering? My mother died in 9/11, my father died in an airstrike over Iraq, my sister died in Mumbai, my brother in Afghanistan, my grandfather in Vietnam, my grandmother in Pearl Harbor. I lost my eyesight in Nagasaki, I lost one hand in Bosnian Holocaust, another in Gujarat. I lost one leg in the London blast, another in Sahana. My ears in Berlin, my hair was burnt in South America. They tried to color me white in South Africa. What sense? They say I'm the pilot who destroyed the Twin Towers and who bombed Iraq. I'm Hitler and a Jew. I'm an American and a Japanese, an Afghani, a British, and a Pakistani terrorist, a Hindu fundamentalist, a communist, a Maoist, and a capitalist. I am an LTTE member and a Sri Lankan Buddhist. I'm T, and I am Batista. I'm an African speaking English in Venezuela. I speak in Arabic with an American accent. They have a reason, a strong one, to kill me. A person hung me upside down, horrifying, black and white, smelling of oil, dollars in his side pocket, wearing a kurta and a coat over that, brown hair, black beard. He had a weapon in his hand. Yeah, weapon. My grandfather saw the same weapon as well as my grandmother. The sky was filled with fear and dust on both occasions. Aeroplanes were flying. When my mother and father died, bombs were planted and gunshots were heard. When my brother and sister died, lists were prepared when I lost both my hands. People running for help when I lost both my legs. The smell of death was the same when I lost my eyes and ears. I can watch my family, a bird in the sky, and they can watch me hoping for my survival. Am I dead or alive? Will I survive or perish? Is there hope for me? Please reply.
Thank you so much, Deepika ma'am. Now Molly Pulak, who is a student of MA Semester 3 in Department of English, Patna Women's College, will recite Goddess Nightmarish.
Good evening, everyone. So I don't find myself eligible enough to interpret my guru's work. So pardon me, I will directly begin with the poem. Goddess is nightmarish. That man's dreams, fantasies, that man's fear of what if, that man's power to get what he wants, that man's singular notion of what they are, or what they should be, or they ought to be. Who created these goddesses and their images that we epitomize? Curly hair, pointed nose, breast and buttocks uptight, bright eyes, standing erect, always focused. Can you imagine a goddess? Fat, thin, of all sizes, old, young, of all ages, breasts hanging out, shaggy buttocks, hair all messed up? Not erect and alert all the time, relaxing and sleeping, saying what they want to, describing their pain during menstruation cycles, reacting to what the gods are doing to them? None of them exists in that creator's fantasy, which would not be a fantasy but a nightmare for him. And that is how it should be. A nightmare to those minds, a goddess nightmarish. And that's how it should be. A real, breathing one, not just a fantasy. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Now we have a young voice amidst us. I would like to call upon Yusuf, who would like to read the poem In Between. Please welcome him.
Use this one.
Good evening, everyone. So today I will recite a poem to you. The name of the poem is In Between. A green child looking towards the woods. Tiger clothes, both sides. People shot at both sides. Cry in the air, both sides. Coffins, 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 both sides. Red flag, black flag, black flag, red flag. Tigers leaping from behind both sides. Blood, 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 both sides. She closed her eyes, gun shot her. She She closes her ears, blood seen, anguish between thirst, red aims, red faces, no mercy, both sides, silence, silence, both sides, broken homes, broken hearts, broken desires, natural catastrophe, in between, in between, in between. Thank you.
Shaila ma'am son. So, explain the way it is.
Thank you, Yusuf. I now request Mr. Priyadarshi Matri Sharan, Advocate Patna High Court, to kindly come on stage. He will be reciting the poems Shall We Leave Them Dying and Colors. Please welcome, sir.
Prabhat is a friend, and that is my ticket to the skies. I'm following a host of teachers here, and everybody is from the field of literature, which now I'm not. While I was studying literature, I went through one novel, Sense and Sensibility. I remained with the sense. Sensibility is on the part of Prabhat. The poem that I've chosen the first poem is at page 49. If we can read along. Shall we leave them dying? I chose this poem because there was a question mark here. While going through the index, I found too many question marks, signs of exclamation, and the most mysterious thing, the 3 dots. These are the most prevalent thing in Prabhat's poetry. Shall we leave them dying? The Reds forgot the cause of red. Farmers dead, human bloodshed, wives and children crying. Shall we leave them dying? You throw your nuclear shit in tribal pits they badly hit. No option other than flying. Shall we leave them dying? They dam the dam, they fast for them, they stayed and media never came, yet they never stopped trying. Shall we leave them dying? You will say everyone's enjoying. GDP growing, sunsets flying. This chap is schizophrenic. He's lying. Shall we leave them dying? Another point. At page 68 is colors. Who said there are only 7 colors in the rainbow? What about the colors in between? Colors which are invisible, colors we don't bother to find out, colors which are never heard of, colors you and I can't see, colors faint, lifeless, waiting to be seen, heard, touched, felt, recognized, admired, revealed. Thank you.
So he is someone along with whom we started this group called Graffiti. I talked about that. Along with him, there was Amritendu Ghoshal, who is teaching at Gaya College, in AM College Gaya. He couldn't come. So he's also a part of Journey.
Next, Miss Srishti Kumari, who is also a student of MA second year, Department of English, Patna Women's College, will recite Jamhuriyat. Please welcome her.
Kashmir. Its beauty is breathtaking and the chair is taking breaths. Jamhuriyat is an Urdu word that means democracy. Jamhuriyat is the democratic system of governance in Kashmir. The brutal truth of Jamhuriyat is portrayed very realistically in this poem. Now I would like to recite this poem. Jamhuriyat. The nationalist celebrated his death like a festival. The media wrote a novella about his face. The middle class wrestles in the social media mud to end up in the garbage where no one gets hurt. The white racist folks laugh their heart out. Terror mongers drank the black blood of a mated soul. A little boy kissed his photograph at a brotherhood funeral. The wide-eyed girl wounded her hand, running away from the bullets. The man going through the stone-pelting crowd had his head smashed by bullets. The woman who lost her boy howls continuously, drowning herself in tears. A pandit living away from his home cries at the photographs he saw before his death from cancer. He smoked a cigar and had whiskey before writing his article. I killed 50 jokes and ate a buffet before writing this poem. The nationalists are glorifying the death of youths of Kashmir as martyrdom, celebrating it like a festival. The media is focused on depicting the appearance of these martyrs, elaborating it as it's some sort of novella. The middle class is simply wrestling in social media mud. The terror mongers drank life out of these youths, who are glorified martyrs. The women are running away from the bullets, still they are wounded. The man who somehow trod safely the stone pelting gets his head smashed in the bullet fighting. The Kashmiri Pandit, who is living away from his home, his Kashmir, is crying over the old photographs, emotional enough that he wrote it having whiskey and cigar. And the poets who are not so bothered over the chaos in Kashmir that they can write on a realistic bloodshed situation by killing 50 jokes. This poem is the contrasting image of experiencing terror in Kashmir and observing it like us, like the poets who can joke, eat dawats, and then write about the terror. Thank you, Dr. Prabhat Jha, for such a powerful poem on Kashmir's Jamhuriyat. It was an honor to bring your thought-provoking words to life, and I appreciate the trust you place in me to do so. Even though I may not have written such a realistic and striking poem myself, I am grateful to have had the chance to recite it. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this experience.
Thank you, Srishti. Now to recite the poems Patna and Metamorphosis, I invite Mr. Advitya Sinha, Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science, Patna Women's College, to kindly come on stage.
Good evening. Now, although there's not much that I can say about his writings, but there are three things for which I thought in person I should congratulate him. Now, any poem or any anthology is actually, in a way, a manifestation of how receptive and responsive a poet is. So, sir, you're beautifully receptive about the current predicaments or your surroundings, or even something as simple as Ulgan, right? So that in a way touched me, the kind of observation he has and the way he is turning them into poems. The second part, because I teach political science, it comes from the political part in his poems. Now see, the good part with political poems is maybe in 2044, in some country which is facing similar predicaments like India, it would still be relevant. So that universal relevance character in his poems is something which amazed me. I mean, you may not even know this, but there's something called post-truth. So the reason I chose Metamorphosis is because we are teaching this to our students that there's something known as post-truth, and his poem is simply, in a very easy manner, explaining what it exactly is. So, and again, coming to the third part, which is his beautiful use of sounds, repetitions, and a style of writing which is equally well written, and when you recite it, you realize it is also for open mics, which our students are doing these days. So, sir, I'll just recite metamorphosis. Okay? Politics. Politics, they say, we cannot understand. A concept beyond our reality. Still, we can see the trunk. Images morphed into bodies of other images, growing like rhizome of information, leading to nothingness. Still, we can see the roots. Change is an illusion, they say. Like an oasis, human nature is fable. Still, we can see the leaves. Politics, images, change. Metamorphosis, a tree. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. Richa, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Patna College, to recite the poem Does It Matter?
Good evening again. I have read this collection a number of times, like we were deciding on the poem and everything. I have read it multiple times, but today it appeared all different, listening it from different people in different ways. One poem, although all the poems are my favorite, one of the poems that is very, very striking is Does It Matter? Does it matter that you killed 10,000 or 10,001? Does it matter that you destroyed homes 1,000 or 1,001? Does it matter that you destroyed schools 500 or 501? Does it matter that you destroyed cities 100 or 101? Does it matter that you destroyed countries 20 or 21? Perhaps not. But for me it does, because one you didn't count was my mother. I am an orphan. Because one you didn't count was my home. I am homeless. Because one you didn't count was my school and I am illiterate. Because one you didn't count was my city. I am a migrant. Because one you didn't count was my country. I am a refugee. I am an orphan, a homeless, an illiterate, a migrant, and a refugee. All in one. The one you didn't count. Does it matter?
Thank you so much, Richa ma'am, and thank you to all the readers for your beautiful recitations and your thoughts on Bandukdam. Finally, I would like to invite the author himself, Dr. Prabhat Jha, on the stage, and he will be reading the poem, Mother.
So I talked about empathy, and empathy I learned from my mother, and she passed away in 2019. She was ill for about 16 years. Those who know me know her as well, most of them. And so I'll read this, and this poem is about different pages. There are different sections to this poem. The first one is written when she was alive. Then and I was with her in Patna. Then I moved to Ranchi to work in Doranda College. That is where the second one starts, second section. The third one is when she died. And the fourth one is connecting her with nature. So I'll read these sections one by one. Mother. Mother, your ailment has colonized a section of my brain, and all the other sections revolve around that. Mother, your intestine is connected to my veins. Your digestion directs the flow of my blood. Mother, the ventilator in your neck is dictating my breath. I can't breathe fresh air. Mother, I am intrigued. I can still feel the umbilical cord and how to break away without rupturing the tissues of your uterus is a concern. Second one. Mother, the umbilical cord has broken, and I am far away. Your blood, breath, phlegm, stool, the whole body, lying on that bed for several years, are not in front of me all the time. In the morning, I dreamt about you calling me. I felt I needed to be there, but I am not there. I teach now, the way you taught me with your life, to care for your children, to teach them proper ways. Achievements are always secondary. It's the way you do it that matters. Mother, I am away, yet I feel concerned. You too indeed are. Third, after she died, the umbilical cord has broken permanently. Your body has been absorbed by the 5 elements. I do not believe in the afterlife, but I do believe you live through your children. Ma, I was a part of you in the beginning. You'll be a part of me till the end. In the beginning till the end. And the last one, the concluding one. My mother couldn't take a bath for many years. Her hair got entangled and made several knots. They appeared to me like the roots of an old tree. A thin old trunk. That is how her body looked to us. Her nails used to grow in all directions like rhizomes. Her life history was like that. She becomes anxious and mentally unstable. We could never understand how she was thinking, the way nature grows, without any thought. She could never trust us, not taking medicines, the way nature cannot trust us, humans. We are anthropocentric when we wanted to groom her like the groomed and shaped trees arranged in order. You are mothered like nature is mother. It seems we are responsible for your destruction. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, Prabhat sir. So with this, we come to the end of this stimulating evening, and to conclude the program, I would like to invite Molly to propose the vote of thanks.
As we come to the end of the book release of Dook, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone present here. We all agree with Tavish Khair. These are really a series of poems where politics meets perspective and takes a clear stand. And today's event further highlighted the relevance and significance of this anthology in the present day world. The publication of more such works is required in order to bring about the much needed social change that the poet has spoken about in his note. On this note, I would like to offer my sincere gratitude first and foremost to our esteemed chief guests, beginning with Mr. Ashok Kumar Jha. Thank you, sir, for your emotional yet important words. I express my warmest thanks to Dr. Muniba Sami. Thank you, ma'am, for gracing the event with your presence and taking us on the detour of the memory lane. I would like to use this opportunity to thank Dr. Shaila Rehana. Thank you, ma'am, for always being the much needed guiding light. Now I would like to thank Dr. Richa, who introduced the book to us in a very discomforting yet eye-opening, striking and intriguing manner. Thank you, ma'am, for your words of wisdom. I would also like to acknowledge the efforts of Mr. Frank Krishna, Dr. Shaila Rehana, Dr. Devina Krishna, Dr. Deepika Tiwari, Mr. Advitya Sinha, Ms. Shrishti, Yusuf, Swati Alice Clifton, Mr. Priyadarshi Matre Sharan, and Dr. Richa. You all really captured the true essence of the poems in your recitations and interpretations. Further, I want to pass my gratitude to our host for the evening, Ms. Swati Alice Clifton. Thank you very much, Swati, for conducting the evening so beautifully. I also thank Ms. Lauren Azad for preparing the manuscript of the book. Next, I express my deepest gratitude to Mr. Umesh Mishra and Mr. Rakesh Jha for providing us this space and helping us in the successful organization of this event. And a special thanks to Ms. Shilpa for coordinating the whole event with so much patience and elegance. And last but not the least, thank you Mr. Manik Singh Thakur for helping in the coordination of the event. I wholeheartedly recognize the support of all the people who worked in the background and forefront for the successful organization of this event. Thank you everyone. I hope Dr. Prabhat Jha will invite us soon for his next book release. Till then, let us all take steps. Till then, let us take strength from these poems to never give up, keep fighting for justice and strive together to make this world a better place for living. Thank you.
One of my students who just kind of passed MA, she has net exam. Her name is Laurie, and she has worked really hard to prepare the manuscript. So special thanks to her. She's not here. I told her to study, so that is why. Because the net exams are just like 21st. So I thank you to Laurie also, and also thank you to my wife who has arranged everything. And she was down with fever. Yes, she was down with fever, and I don't know how she is working. I told her to sit and just watch.
She's pickled with you.
Pickled with you in a jar.
And I just ending this by saying that I talked about me learning empathy from my mother. But I just saw she was standing, no? And I told her, okay, you stand. No? She's my student. I can't be heartless. I can be heartless sometimes as a teacher. She saw that. She asked one bhaiya to put one kursi there, one chair there. So empathy is transferred from my mother to my wife. Thank you.
Once again, congratulations. From that result, Dr.